I'm in the region of Palenque, and this particular archaeological site is known as the Palace. Behind me is the Temple of the Inscriptions, and behind me now is the Temple of the Skull, which we'll have a closer look at in a minute. This is a Mayan site, and it's similar to Teotihuacanas in that it was settled a few hundred years BC and went on to about 900 years AD. Again, it's a bit mysterious as to why this civilization collapsed, but it was put to me that if you consider the massive amount of cement here that was created by burning limestone, it would require 50 kilos of wood to create 1 kilo of cement. Well, you can imagine the ginormous amount of cement that was required to build just what we're looking at right here, and this is only a minute amount of the entire site. There's 1,500 temples in the surrounding jungle that have been somewhat explored but never cleared. The Mayan people would build a home out of stone, and when the elder person in the home died, they would bury him in a sarcophagus here and then build another home on top, and they just keep on going up from there. This is the ancient toilet. There was a gutter with flowing water underneath that would take the black water out into a large hole outside the city area. There was privacy here, so people could do their business in private. And just over here there is another one. This and the other inscriptions beside it were created about 650 AD. You can see the very large Mayan nose. This is another example of a very large nose. Now, these noses were created and formed during childhood when they got the gum from a tree and somehow pushed it up into the nostrils and distorted the nose. And also apparently there was a false nose put on the outside as well. Along here is a gallery of the king's family portraits. His name was Pakal. He was born 1600 and something, 1605. He died at 81 years old. And this would have been a fabulous array of family portraits, but the Spanish came and chipped them all away. So Pakal was the child king. He started ruling at a very young age. In the centre of the screen you can see the Temple of the Count in the northern group. This guy came here from Europe in 1830 and he lived here for 2 years after travelling through the Yucatan Peninsula, and then went back to Europe and showed everyone drawings of what he had found. Imagine that, 1830, this guy came from Europe and lived here. This is the Temple of the Inscriptions, which we'll have a closer look at in a minute. Just taking advantage of this lovely vista. And this is the sabre tree. And in the background in the middle now you can see the remains of a temple which they call temple number 11, and this is how this entire area was when it was first discovered by Europeans. After the child king died, this civilization continued for about another 100 to 200 years and then went into decline. And it's felt that part of the reason, or the reason for the decline, was the fact that these people at this site and other sites throughout this region for many, many miles, the Yucatan Peninsula going into El Salvador, Guatemala, they destroyed the rainforest. It's not unlike the Easter Island story. The rainforest was totally destroyed, and there was no more wood to burn, no more trees to cut down, and it just became an ecological disaster. And so people started starving. They could not find food to eat. The elite started fighting each other, and lo and behold, it all came crashing down, and the jungle in this area returned because it is a tropical rainforest. In other areas on the Yucatan, it is not tropical rainforest, and the jungle did not return. You can imagine the vast amount of power, manpower and effort required to build this temple and so many in this area. You can achieve that either by paying people or by threatening them with violence, or by educating them at a very, very early age that they are all slaves to their god, and if they do not build these temples, then something terrible will happen to them either now or in the later life. And this civilization used the latter. So these people and their children and their grandchildren for generations just built these structures because that was the only thing they knew how to do. If you look carefully in the centre of the screen, you should be able to see a skull figure on a pillar, and lo and behold, this temple is known as the Pyramid of the Skull. You can see the arch in the middle is very, very common right through this area, and this is called a false arch. It's very different to the Roman European style where there's a keystone in the middle. The Mayans managed to create a different design that has certainly withstood the test of time.